Our presentation today is on dynastic consideration and the House of Tudor. The House of Tudor is a European royal family of Welsh descent. Symbolized by the iconic Tudor rose, they are considered to be one of the most influential royal families in European history. There were 5 Tudor monarchs who ruled the Kingdom of England from 1485 to 1603. Their realm included what is today England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland. The Tudors took power following the War of the Roses, a 30-year-long dynastic civil war that was fought between the House of York and the House of Lancaster. Both families had different color roses to symbolize their houses. The House of York was symbolized by the white rose, and the House of Lancaster was symbolized by the red rose, hence the name War of the Roses. The Lancastrian claim to the throne was held by a man named Henry of Tudor. In 1485, Henry defeated the Yorkist king, Richard III, at the Battle of Bosworth. This won the war for the Lancasters, and Henry now had a claim to the throne. In an effort to reunite the two houses, he decided to take Elizabeth of York as his wife. Thus, the Lancasters and the Yorks were united. To symbolize this reunion, Henry chose to use the rose of the Tudor as the official symbol of the Tudor house. Henry of Tudor was now Henry VII, King of England. Now we're going to go through an outline of the House of Tudor. The first Tudor monarch was Henry VII, and his marriage to Elizabeth of York reunited the York and the Lancaster houses. They had 7 kids, but only 4 lived to adulthood: Mary, Margaret, the eldest and heir to the throne, Arthur, and Henry, but he's not king yet. Henry VIII wanted Arthur to marry Catherine of Aragon, a Spanish princess, and they did get married, but it was only for 4 months because Arthur died. Thus, Henry VIII was the heir to the throne, and when Henry VII died, he became the next king of England. He too fell in love with Catherine of Aragon, but Leviticus states that you can't marry your brother's widow, and Henry was very religious. Thus, he sought a papal dispensation from Julius II, who gave it the go-ahead, and Henry married Catherine. They had one daughter, whose name was Mary. However, Henry wasn't happy with this. He wanted a male heir because it was believed men were better leaders than women, and he wanted to avoid a conflict over dynastic succession such had taken place with the War of the Roses. He had his eyes set on Anne Boleyn. However, Henry was already married to Catherine, so he asked Pope Clement VII for an annulment on the grounds that his marriage to Catherine was invalid and never should have been allowed. However, Pope Clement denies his request, and thus he gets excommunicated by Henry, and Henry founds the Church of England, of which he would be the supreme head, and he goes ahead and marries Anne Boleyn. However, his good friend and former advisor Thomas More refused to take the oath of succession because he was very religious and very moral, and he believed it was wrong. Thus, Henry had him executed. So Anne Boleyn and Henry had one daughter, Elizabeth I, so Anne Boleyn was executed. Now King Henry had his eyes on Jane Seymour. They got married, and this time she produced him a son, Edward, and King Henry's happy. However, Jane Seymour died during childbirth, and Henry would have 3 more wives, neither of which are relevant to what we're discussing today. So when King Henry dies, Edward becomes king, but he's only age 9 when he takes the throne, and he would only rule for 4 more years because he grew very sick and his reign was very corrupted. Next in line was Queen Mary, his stepsister, who was a Catholic, and she was known as Bloody Mary for persecuting bishops who believed in the Church of England. So 5 years later, she dies, and Queen Elizabeth, her stepsister, takes over, and she would rule the longest of any Tudor monarch. However, she never married, never had an heir, so Henry's sister, Margaret, who married in the Scottish royal family, her descendant, James I of Scotland, became king.